My name is Liz, and you're watching for Booking Out Loud. So I am outside again. It has been a while since I have filmed outside, and there are two reasons. First and foremost, it is a gorgeous day, and I want to spend some more time outside. And, why not? And second of all, I am coming at you with a summer book recommendation. It might already be summer where you're at. It might be winter where you're at. Who knows? But where I am at, it is starting to be warmer, which to me is kind of a negative and a plus, but I digress. However, I find summer to be an interesting time for reading because in some cases you want kind of a easy book time, and in other cases, as a teacher, I have a lot more time on my hands, so I can digest more of those complicated, really time investing books. So yeah, but I'm coming at you with a nice kind of longer list of a very diverse range of books. I'm coming at you with a couple of romance, a couple of mysteries, a couple of historical fictions, and as always, I got some nonfictions coming at you because why not? Nonfictions are awesome. And we're just gonna get into it. I have two romances for you because, yes, they're kind of an easy go-to. I feel like this author has kind of taken at least BookTube by storm. She came out with her debut novel last year, and she just recently came out with her sophomore novel. Is that what we call it? Either way, her second novel, she just came out. And both of them are phenomenal romances, especially if you're just looking for what you call maybe a beach read. You don't need a beach to read them though. They're just fun to read. So her most recent release is going to be People We Meet on Vacation. And one reason I think Emily Henry is a really good author to pick up for the summer is she has very much vacation-esque romances. I mean, this one is literally about vacations. And her debut novel is beach read. So obviously a good beach read to read on beach reads. Ignore me. Just ignore me, okay? But Emily Henry has a way with romances which really seem kind of believable, but two people grappling with liking and then eventually loving with each other, and they're really easy to read, but at the same time just kind of fun. So if you're looking for a good romance pick and you have not picked up one or both of Emily Henry's romances, I highly suggest them this summer, anytime, one time, just do it. And then, of course, let's just do it. I suggest Crazy Rich Asians, the first book, or even just the series. It's what I consider a really fun romance to get into. Really, let's just leave it at that. Really fun romance to get into. Go for it. Pick them up. Great summer read. Just do it. Now, I'm going to go into two mystery novels. These mystery novels wouldn't be like a light read, I would say. More like just a good mystery novel to pick up this summer. And it's not really... No, I guess it is summer related, and that's why I put them on this list. But honestly, they're just good mysteries that I would suggest picking up. This first one, I haven't talked much on this channel, but I have to admit I did enjoy it. And I enjoyed the novel more than I enjoyed, I believe it's HBO, the series, wherever it's at. Not that the series is bad, the book is so much better. But Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. To say the least, it's a very dark mystery, and you really go deep into the main character's mind, kind of like what happened to the sister, what's happening in this small town. Gillian Flynn, if I'm not mistaken, is the author of Gone Girl, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I liked Sharp Objects more than Gone Girl, and Sharp Objects isn't as talked about as Gone Girl, and so that's why I wanted to talk about this book and suggest this book over Gone Girl. So check that one out before. And then the second mystery I want to suggest is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And this one is one that I've recently read, and I have to admit, it's not, 5 stars or anything, but it's a really interesting one to pick up. You have different perspectives. It kind of keeps you on your toes the whole time. And I'm suggesting it as a summer read because it is about a wedding party going to this mysterious island, and guests kind of getting picked off one by one. And you have this closed circle mystery because of a wedding. And what's more summery than like a wedding? I guess maybe spring, but still, why not, right? All right, and then I'm going into one of my favorite genres, which is dystopian fiction. And I'm going to suggest Station 11 to you. And one reason I picked this as a summer read rather than maybe a fall or winter is because it is about a troupe of Shakespeare theater players traveling the United States 20 years after a disease wipes out the majority of the population. And I associate summer with kind of Shakespeare plays because a lot of times Shakespeare troupes and Shakespeare plays kind of pop up in the summer. I live in Oregon, and the Shakespeare Festival, well, not the festival, but Ashland kind of opens up in the summer, and that's a very prominent area for Shakespeare plays. It's beautiful. If you've ever heard of Ashland, Oregon, I highly suggest looking it up, and that's why I associate Shakespeare with the summer. But Station 11 is an amazing book. It really took me by surprise because the idea of a Shakespearean troupe roaming around kind of desolate America doesn't really sound appealing, but Emily St. John Mandel is an amazing author that just has a beautiful way of writing. And this book really is more about exploring human nature after devastation happens. And it was an amazing book, at least to me, and I've heard a lot of other people talk about it, so it's not just me who likes it, I promise. So if you haven't picked it up, I highly suggest this is one book that you might want to pick up this summer. So do it. And then I'm going to move on to 2 historical fiction books that I suggest you pick up this summer. The first and foremost is going to be The Vanishing Half by Brett Bennett. This book is one that I picked up last summer, and that's why I suggest you pick it up this summer. It is about 2 twins that can be white passing, and they live in a town that is very white passing. And the color of your skin, the lighter your skin is, the better it is, basically. And it's a historical fiction where these 2 twins kind of take divergent paths. One does go through life as a woman who's white passing. She marries a white husband. She has a child that ends up never knowing her roots as a black female, or half black, half white. And then you have the other sister going through life fully black. And just watching the generations pass in this book is really interesting, and how these 2 sisters break apart and then eventually come together. It's a really interesting book, and it was talked about a lot, and then I haven't really seen it being talked about too much recently. And so I really highly suggest it if you haven't read it yet, and just to bring it back, because it really is a beautiful book. Do it. And then the second historical fiction book I want to recommend, especially because it is summer, is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is a book that is about, was it Mississippi? Somewhere in the deep south, there is a girl who's really been abandoned by her town and her family, and she basically raises herself in the swamps of... One second, I'm looking this up. Wow. No, I was completely wrong. It's set in North Carolina. So still the South, but not Louisiana nor Mississippi. I knew John from Hey Y'all Listen Up had corrected me when I talked about this book previously, so I wanted to make sure I got it right this time. But nevertheless, it's really about this girl who was abandoned by her town and her family in this small town, and she raises herself in the marsh, and let's just say she kind of discovers what it is to be the outsider, and the town, let's just leave it at that. It doesn't sound good when I say it like that, but it truly is a phenomenal book. I really, really enjoyed it, and it did make me cry at the end, I have to admit. But I highly suggest picking it up because it was great. It really was. And it blew away my expectations. I wasn't expecting a lot from that book, and it was just phenomenal. Now, I have two nonfictions, as promised, to recommend you for this summer. If you have not picked up Radium Girls by Kate Moore yet, that is one I truly recommend you pick up this summer. It is a phenomenal read for nonfiction. If you are not a nonfiction fan, this book doesn't really read like a nonfiction. There's a lot of narrative stories in here. But this book is about factory girls during, I believe it was World War I. They would take radium and paint it on the dials of airplanes, the clocks, the dials, so that fighter pilots could see them in the dark and such. And these girls would be very free to do what they wanted with this radium. They would put it in their mouth, they would put it all over their bodies, because they were told that it was completely safe. And these were very sought after jobs, because these girls would be paid well, and they could send home money, and radium was seen as this like wonder drug, and it would cure all diseases. But as we know now, and as they did know then as well, radium is very dangerous. And these girls quickly fell ill, and they were not compensated at all. And so it's really about these girls' stories getting workers' rights passed through. And it's a really, before this book, it was really unknown on what happened to these girls, because they were working girls. They didn't have money. They were unknowns. And when their stories started coming out, workers' rights really escalated to girls as well. And it's just a really important story, and it's really, really sad too, but it's really a great book as well. And then my second book recommendation is one I don't think I've talked about on this channel a lot either, is going to be Wild by Cheryl Strayed. And of course there's that movie with Reese Witherspoon. Yes, Reese Witherspoon. And I highly suggest the movie as well, but the book is a great complement to it. I suggest the movie because a lot of it was shot in Oregon, and as you know, I'm a very big fan of Oregon, but the book is also phenomenal. There was this phase I went through, and honestly I'm still going through, where I'm absolutely in love with the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail. Huge trail that goes from the border of Mexico all the way to the border of Canada. And Wild is about Cheryl Strayed's journey, basically taking that trail as a woman alone in the 80s. It's a lot more common now for women to take this trail alone and for people to do it alone in the first place, but in the 80s it was not as common, point blank. And so reading this book in the summer really gives you some wanderlust, I'll say that, to say the least. And it's also a really great look at a perseverance, really. And so I highly suggest that book to you as well. And that is kind of my long summer reading list. I didn't realize how many books I would actually recommend for the summer, but as you might be able to tell from my last couple of videos, I'm really, really excited for the summer. It's my teacher energy. I have like 13 days left. But I highly suggest these books. Please leave in the comments down below if you have any books in particular you want to tackle this summer, or you're just really excited for this summer. And if you enjoyed this video, as always, please give me a thumbs up. I highly suggest you follow me on my Instagram or my Twitter, because I'm going to really focus this summer on posting more on both of those social media platforms, and as always, posting at stuff that I don't post on my YouTube, posting different things on there. So we'll see how that goes. But I digress again. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next time.